This chair is not comfortable. Hello, I am Dallas with Dallas Goes to the Movies, and today we're here for another episode of Tales from the Theater. I know it's been a while, so I'm going to go over some theater experiences, screenings, movies, stuff I got. I went on a very long road trip to Europe, so I have a few tales from there. So if you'd like to see some reviews, you can see Dallas Goes Movies on Instagram or TikTok, or go to dallasgoesthemovies.com, where I post every review in written form. Other than that, I guess we'll get into it. I'm going to kind of work backwards and then come back to here and then whatever. But last week was a very crazy week. I think it was the most movies I've ever seen in one week. I saw two on Sunday for a double feature, where we saw Together and Sorry Baby at the main cinema here in Minneapolis. Both very good movies. I felt like I was missing Sorry Baby for like 3 or 4 months because I know some people saw it at a festival. I'm very glad I finally got to see it in a theater format. And then Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I went to a movie every night that week. 2, 3 were for screenings actually. I just put up a video for my Granada theater experience where we were invited to The Map That Leads to You early screening, which is a new Prime movie. It was at a theater that used to be what I assume was some sort of stage or theater place, so we were sitting in like wicker chairs for a little over 90 minutes. Very uncomfortable. You were on a flat plane, so tall people in front of us could see 80% of the screen. A little bit different of an experience. But the craziest part about last week, what is with people, as I don't have any socks or shoes on right now because I'm in my own home, but I've had 3 people actually right next to me have their socks and shoes off. The people behind us during our Together screening put their feet up on the seat directly next to us. Wish I would have tickled them or punched them because it's disgusting, and I do not understand why that's... I don't know if it's becoming more of a thing or if I haven't paid attention to it. I have done it before where I've taken my shoes off, but I was only the only person in the entire theater. I very specifically remember where I was. I was in Cincinnati at a very small rundown theater to see Lola, that like Twitter thread movie with Elvis Presley's granddaughter. Can't think of her name. And then we also had one of our worst experiences seeing Weapons. One of my worst experiences with a like overall theater crowd and weird theater experience. Like maybe once or twice a month you go to a movie, someone's on their phone the entire movie, someone's whispering and it's annoying as hell, but you just shush them or deal with it. But this theater, we showed up probably 20, 25 minutes early. There were some teenagers, like 5 or 6 of them in the lobby, and I was really hoping they weren't going to be in our movie, and lo and behold, of course they were. We were kind of sat right in the middle. They all sat at the very front, and I always do this thing where I check the like theater map to see if people are going to be sitting next to me or how full it is. And I looked there, and there was only like 3 seats taken at the front, so clearly like half of them weren't even supposed to be in there. The security came in with like 10 minutes before the movie and like looked at them and then left. And we were the only like 8 people in the theater at that point. But then it completely filled up with like 1 minute past showtime, which the movie started right at the showtime. I think it was like 9:40. It's just started. Very strange. So of course, 10, 15 minutes go by. There's people showing up. And it felt like as soon as everyone got settled, the movie just stopped and went black and then completely restarted. So we saw the first 10 to 15 minutes of Weapons twice. Very good movie. I'm not going to touch too much on like how I liked the movies or didn't like them. But it was I've never had really experiences with a movie stopping or starting or going black. I know I see a lot of people have issues like the movie will stop halfway through and they'll have to give them re-entrance tickets. I did see Ghost in the Shell, that Scarlett Johansson adaptation, 10 years ago now at a theater. And there was a lot of subtitles in that movie. And they were just completely cut off because it wasn't formatted correctly for the screen at that theater. And so they gave us readmit passes, but I just missed the dialogue in half the movie, and the movie wasn't good enough for me to go back and see it. So I haven't seen that one since. That was kind of a tangent off of the weapons thing. People during that movie, everyone was talking. There was a person by themselves that just kept popping their phone up to look at it every probably 15 minutes. I don't understand. I don't know if you snuck in, but if I paid even $10 to go see something or do something, I want to look at my phone when I get to look at my phone when I was at home. That's something we could talk about forever. I don't know if I mentioned this in the last episode because it was like 2 or 3 months ago now. I went to a screening once where the people showed up with 10 minutes left to go in the movie, which means they were showing up for the next showing, which wasn't for at least another hour after ours was ending because they had to have like the 30-minute buffer in between. Don't understand that. Don't understand why you would show up late. But I'm also the type of person that if I'm ever like even 2 minutes late, I would hate myself forever and feel horrible towards the person that I was there to see. If I showed up into a movie with even 2 minutes into it, I would feel like I missed the entire movie. When we were seeing, oh my God, I'm drawing a blank. M. Night Shyamalan's daughter directed a movie last year, didn't she? With the Fanning girl. The screen was black. Like, they didn't play any of the trailers. You couldn't see any of the trailers. I got up and said something. They're like, oh, once the movie starts, it'll kick on. Of course, doesn't. So the movie's black. You can just tell this is the beginning of a movie. So I missed the first 3 minutes of that said movie, and I will never go back and rewatch it, but I hated that I missed the beginning of the movie because sometimes it can set up something for the end or a reveal. Yeah, even now that I get invited to all these screenings, I have my name that goes on the back seat. I know I'm lucky, it feels very cool, but no matter what, at these screenings, there's going to be a seat saved for me. But for some reason, my brain, I still show up. If the movie's at 7, I'll be there at 6:15 for no reason. Sometimes I'm there at 6. For Mission Impossible, I was there at 5:30, like an hour and a half early. Because I feel like I'm still going to somehow miss out. I feel like I'm going to sneeze on getting a good seat, but the seat's already chosen for me, so whether it's a good seat or not, I know I have a seat in there. I know it's not going to be a front row or a very back corner. But I'm always so early, and I hate that I do it to my girlfriend sometimes. Like, I'm like, we need to leave now. It says it's going to take 27 minutes, and then somehow it takes us like 20, but then we're still there a half hour way too early, and it's whatever. Rambling. That's what this video podcast is. It's just rambling because I'm here by myself. And there's some fish in the corner and some plants. I don't know if you can see those. Anyway, I went on a 26 day European trip. And of course, I had to visit movie theaters. We went to 2 movies in France. We went to 2 movies in Amsterdam. So I'm going to kind of go over how different, the cool things we experienced, kind of the movies we saw. The first movie we saw, I think, was the second or third night we were in Paris. We were within walking distance of a very small, it looked like a local cinema. We saw Superman. I don't know if I just said that 10 seconds ago. And the thing that made theirs different is we showed up there at like 8:38 for a 9 p.m. movie. Not a soul was in that building. There wasn't even an employee in there. This is p.m. We're just like standing by the counter, and then you hear like someone sprinting from somewhere, and we ask what we get a ticket. She's like, okay, you're gonna have to wait a little bit. Like, doors weren't even open yet, but the last showing was already done and gone. They let us in there at like 8:55, and people here in America are complaining that AMC is like showing like 20, 25, 30 minutes of trailers and ads. They showed straight up 20 minutes of local ads. Before they showed a single trailer, anything movie related, it was just all local ads, which was different, and wish we would have showed up later because there was like no one in that screening, even though it was opening night for Superman, which I'm not sure what. It was a smaller theater, so I get it. It wasn't like in the huge district. Different thing about French theaters, and it seems like European theaters in general, they don't have buttered popcorn. Didn't come across it once. It didn't seem like it existed. I'm sure it does, maybe. But they have sweet and they have salty. And they have a very small amount of it. the first day at Superman, we chose the salty kind. It just tasted like salted popcorn, like the most plain popcorn you could ever have, where they just dumped regular table salt on it. It was fine. It was nothing like the buttered popcorn that we're used to here. The sweet popcorn we ended up getting at our next movie, which was Eddington. We saw it in a very small coastal town in France, which was very interesting because of the subject matter of Eddington, very COVID heavy. I assume they had some sort of backlash to COVID in different countries, but maybe not to the level we did, where they had like the toilet paper hoarding. And then obviously the Black Lives Matter and George Floyd stuff was happening here in Minneapolis at the same time, and that's very heavily present in Eddington. And there was some stuff that was so absurd, and the commentary on it was accurate that I was bursting out laughing at it in the movie. And it seemed like anyone else in the theater thought it was funny because they were French. And also we noticed, like, because my girlfriend speaks French. I'm sorry, I forgot where I was going with that. Yeah, Allie, she speaks French. And so she could read the subtitles and listen to the English that was playing, because they would play these movies in English and then have the French subtitles. And things were different. Like, nothing translated 100%, not nothing, but some things didn't translate. In the movie, they would mention like an old sitcom, I think it was The Jeffersons. They would just put sitcom on the screen, so that joke wasn't really translated at all to that. But when we saw Eddington, we were in La Rochelle, France, this coastal town, which was cool because the building that the theater was in this building that I think was built in like the 1500s, and they just turned it into a theater, and you're just right on this like historic district of restaurants. You're on the, I want to say bay, but I don't really think they would call it a bay, the dock area. Anywho, we got the sweet popcorn that day. It tasted kind of like kettle corn, but it wasn't as hard, and it was a lot stickier. Flavor wasn't really anything specific. It was just sweet. But also while we were in France, we did go to the Cinémathèque, which was a French film museum. While they were there, they had a Wes Anderson exhibit, had a bunch of props and costumes and one sheets and lots of very cool things of his there. So that was awesome to see. That was very busy. We even showed up pretty early and had to wait in line for a while to go through. But yeah, we got that postcard. We got quite a few other postcards from there. I'm just going to show you to them because I think they're cool. We've got a Terminator one. We've got a Malcolm X one. Another Terminator one because Allie's just with Arnold Schwarzenegger. So, and then also they were playing, for some reason, everywhere we went in Europe was playing Kurosawa's films. So I don't know if it was some anniversary. I don't know, or just it was just the right time. This is from the Cinémathèque, the Moon postcard, but they were playing a bunch of Kurosawa stuff, so we got some Kurosawa postcards as well, which were free, just hanging out. But the other ones we had to pay for. Some of the cool stuff I got at I think it was just a random bookstore actually in France, were these French like little magazines. They had 4 of them, one for Spielberg, Tarantino, and then Coppola and David Lynch. And I went with these 2 because I like their films a lot. It came, I can't read French, so I don't know what any of it says. It's just very cool. Seems like it runs down a bunch of their films, but inside of each of them, they have some, I was gonna say French posters, but this one looks Japanese. But I think there's a Jaws, an E.T., and then there's also a Kill Bill one in the Tarantino thing. And then in Amsterdam, we went to 2 other theaters. The first one we went to was this place called The Movies. That's just the name of it. Had to go there because it was called that. It's actually the oldest theater in Amsterdam, according to them. I didn't do much digging. It opened in 1912. It seemed like it was updated a little bit because they had 4 screens instead of the original 1. We watched The Zone of Interest there. We had already seen the movie. It just happened to work out. That was the only one we could see, but we wanted to go. And when we got to go buy our tickets, the guy's like, do either of you speak Dutch? And we're like, no. And they're like, do either of you speak German? And we're like, no. And they're like, okay, well, this is playing in German with Dutch subtitles. And we were like, Well, we've already seen it, and the dialogue isn't super important in that movie. It's about the background sounds, the sound design, and the horrifying visuals. So we saw that there. It was very cool. It was very hot in there. Very respectful audience. Besides this old couple in the front, where the guy like was doing that, and his wife had to wake him up. That was very funny. I think 2 nights later, we went to another theater to see the Fantastic Four: First Steps. I've never looked into how to pronounce it. Some long, very long Dutch word. Very tall building. Maybe I'll put a photo of it here. Very cool building. We were led into like this grandiose theater, which was their big theater. Normal size screen. I was hoping the screen would be a lot bigger. The sound was okay. But what we were there for was like this booth experience, kind of like they weren't the ones set up on the side. They were actually kind of set up right towards the back. A concierge led you in there. And we paid, I think, about $30 a ticket to come here, but then you each got a drink and a snack, a piece to choose from. So it was kind of like, I guess it was to cut down on you paying for the things actively, and they would just give them to you and just pay for them in advance. But you got it led into this box, and we were the only ones in our box. I think there was 4 like love seats in there. She ended up getting, I think, some more salty popcorn, or sweet popcorn actually. I got their Doritos, which are pretty good, very different than American Doritos, and then I got a pretty fancy apple juice. The thing about the France theaters that I really loved is they had their bathrooms within the auditoriums themselves, to where you just walk up to the top and then there's just a bathroom off to the side. Was very cool. There was only like 2 toilets in there though, and some of the theaters we went into would have, I'm guessing, close to 150 to 200 seats. So if that many people were there for a premiere or something, that would be kind of obnoxious to be waiting in line within the theater. Obnoxious for the other people, maybe not for you, because you can still watch the movie or at least listen to it. But I liked that about it. I guess I really don't have a lot else to touch on. I thought I would have a lot more. I went to the highest to lowest, the new Spike Lee press screening. Very new to this type of thing. I think a month and a half ago, we went to most of these screenings you get invited to, you get your name on a seat. But they also invite other people to these screenings. Like when we went to Karate Kid, they invited an entire dojo. So they had like 2 full rows of people dressed up in their karate attire. And so it's cool to see the people that they invite. I think when I went to a Jane Austen movie, they invited the Jane Austen book club. But sometimes it's just press, and it seems like towards the end of the year, towards the like award season, they invite just the press or the critics to these screenings. So there was only like 15 to 20 of us. I feel like I'm using a lot of blank to blank numbers today inside this screening at this AMC. So instead of showing up super early and having to watch people wait in all these lines to like scan their QR codes through, like whether it was a contest or you just signed up online for these, which you can go to GoFobo, I think it's screenings.com or something like that, and sign up for a lot of screenings if you're in a major city. But you do have to do the thing where you show up like an hour early and wait in a line in hopes to get a good seat or get in at all, because some they just don't let you in because they run out of room. Went to a highest to lowest movie screening. It was cool to see a Spike Lee movie if I hated it. Saw Nobody 2 last week as well. And then tonight, or what is it, Monday the 18th, I'm seeing Honey Don't, the new Ethan Coen movie with Aubrey Plaza and Margaret Qualley. I think that's all I really had here. Ooh, I had one. We went spent a week in Romania, and we didn't get the chance to see a movie there, whether it's because we were too tired or the timing didn't work out. We did walk past, I might regret this for a very long time, a movie theater within like a small block of where Vlad the Impaler was born. There was just a movie theater. It didn't pop up on their Google Maps when I typed it up, but they were showing quite a few movies like Bride Hard and I Know What You Did Last Summer sequel. We thought about going to see that, and just looking at photos, I kind of found something online about it. It looks like it was almost like an auditorium, like a gym you would see at like a middle school, with a bunch of metal chairs set up and like a projector. So the experience would have been probably pretty horrible but funny, and I wish we would have gone to that. But it also seemed like Romania had a bunch of theaters closed down. We walked by quite a few throughout Bucharest and Brasov, Romania, where they were just shuttered. They still had posters up from like screenings last year, but it seemed like they closed recently. Yeah, that's all I have. Hopefully this recorded, and thanks for watching or listening to another episode of Tales from the Theater. Hopefully I do this more often. Make sure you check out me, Dallas Goes to the Movies, on Instagram, TikTok, DallasGoesToTheMovies.com. I'm going to say it again. And as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you at the movies.